Hi guys, welcome to Nurture Tech Academy. My name is Lokesh. In this video, we'll learn about the dialog box that actually come while recording the macro. It's all about, this video is all about your first macro. We're gonna see how to record the macro. Now, in the earlier video, I already told you what are the ways from which we can record a macro. So I'm just using this way, this status bar way, and if I just click on this icon, we can have this dialog box that contains the first thing, the macro name. Do remember a few things about the name. There are few conditions that are associated with the macro name. The first condition is that the name cannot be start with a number. It should be an alphabet, the first character of a name. That is the mandatory condition. The second condition, we cannot have any kind of spaces in between the name of a macro. And the third one is that we cannot have any kind of special characters in the name of macro. So just keep these things in your mind. And let's say I am writing the name of this macro, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna record our name in this macro. We'll try to record a macro that will write my name. So let's say the name of this macro is name1. Okay, I'm putting 1 because in the subsequent videos we're gonna create some more macros with the name, but there are a lot of technicalities I'm gonna discuss later. So the first thing is clear, that name and the three conditions I already told you. Just keep that in mind and put up a name. And the name of a macro must be logical. Your user or you in future, if you see this macro, you're able to judge that maybe what can be done with this macro. So name should be short and simple, and must convey the idea behind the macro. Second thing is shortcut key. Let me tell you guys, do not ever try to give a shortcut key with control, as it is written over here. Do not ever try to give it. Because if you provide, let's say, A, B or C or any character, any alphabet, there is already a shortcut key behind it. If I provide a C with it, so that means that in future, whenever you try to, whenever you try to copy something in Excel and you'll press Control C, it will not copy that thing, but it will run this macro. So it means that this command will override or replace the original shortcut. So do not ever try to give a shortcut with this. The best way to do is just press Shift on your keyboard, and you can provide any kind of alphabet. Like right now I'm giving N, stands for name. Okay, so this is like this: Control plus Shift plus N. Even this is advisable that don't ever try to give a shortcut key, because there is a way I'm gonna tell you how we can access a macro without a shortcut key. Because I'm sure after learning how to record a macro, you will prepare a lot of macros. So it would be really difficult to remember the name, the shortcut keys of these macro. So it is better to do not provide any key to it. But rather, if you think that the macro you're gonna use it a lot or very frequently, you can just give it a shortcut, so that that would be very handy to you. So Control plus Shift plus N we have already given. Okay, so the condition I have discussed about the shortcut key, then do not ever try to provide a shortcut key with Control. Now the third thing, this is the most important thing, which is where store macro in. There are three places we can store a macro in: this workbook, new workbook, and personal macro workbook. Now just listen to me carefully, because this is the key. On the basis of this, anybody can use a macro or can be restricted from its usage. The first thing is this workbook. It means if I choose this workbook and if I start recording the macro, the coding part, as I told you earlier, the actions will be converted into a language that will be saved in a workbook. So that coding will also be saved in this particular workbook. It means you have to save this workbook after creating this macro as a macro enabled workbook. and then only the macro will be available next time if you open this workbook. And the best usage of this option is that if you want to send this particular file to someone else, and if you want that he can also run this macro, then only choose this option and save this as macro enabled workbook, because the coding will reside in this particular workbook. Okay, so that is the use of this work. And if you want that, you create a macro right here in your system, and if you send this file and people should not able to view the code and should not able to run the macro, then you have to choose the second option, which is new workbook. It means after choosing this option, your actions will be there in this workbook, but coding will be saved in a different workbook. It means if you think that your macros are pretty much confidential, you can just save your coding in this workbook and save it somewhere else in your system so that nobody will able to access it. And anytime if you want to run this macro which is saved in new workbook, you have to go to this particular workbook where you have saved it and open it, because you can always use a macro if the concerned workbook is open. Now the last option is personal macro workbook. This is really very important. This is like it's a macro workbook which is always available on your system, but it is a hidden file. It means we cannot see this file. And I told you that if you want to run a macro, that particular workbook which contains a macro should open at that particular time. So it means the hassle of opening a particular workbook again and again, if you want to run the macro which is stored in that particular workbook, we can reduce that hassle by using a personal macro workbook. So in that particular case, that is always open whenever you open a Excel program. Okay, so you need not to open those things again and again. So this is about the personal macro workbook. So I normally store these, you can store this macro in personal macro workbook. That would be really helpful and easy to access. And the last thing is description. And this is optional. If you want to add any description, you can. If you don't want to add anything, because the idea behind description is you cannot explain everything about macro in its short and simple name. So you can just add a description. So in future, you can that will be useful for the user first thing, or maybe even for you, because you're gonna create so many macros. Maybe you'll able to remember that or not. So description about the macro will help us to retain that thing in our mind. So let's say I provide a description that this macro will write my. Now I'm starting a macro. So just look at this icon. It will change actually. If I just press OK, see this, it is changed to blue. It means recording is started like this. Stop recording is appearing over here. So I'm writing my name, which is this, and if I press enter, and if I just stop the recording either from here or from here or from under the view tab, we can record a macro, stop the recording like this. So I've stopped the recording. Now what I wanted to show is, see this, if I run this macro anywhere in the sheet or in the workbook, look at this. The shortcut key was Control Shift N. See this. My name is appearing over here, which is perfect, but you can see the cursor is coming just below the just where it is rested when I recorded the macro. Okay, there is a mystery behind it. I'm gonna share that thing in the coming videos, but right now I just want to tell you that how to record a macro. This is a very small piece of macro which we have recorded. You can record as bulky macros as you can. That depends solely upon us, because I just wanted to share with you that macro recording it's all about a kid's game, because it's all your action that you have to record. It's nothing to do with me or somebody else. It's you who gonna record your action. So you know what you need to record. Okay, so it can be as lengthy, it can be or as small like this. It's just writing my name. So that's it, guys. In the coming video, I'm gonna share the knowledge of macros a lot, so just stay with me. And if you want to buy the package of this DVD tutorial, you can just visit to this particular website and order the same. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye bye.